You bought an Arduino Uno R3. You plugged it in. You blinked an LED. Maybe you read a sensor. But if someone pointed to any random component on this board and asked you, what does that do? Could you answer? Most people use this board for months, sometimes years, without truly understanding what is on it. Today, that changes. We are doing a complete tour of the Arduino Uno R3, every component, every pin, every interface, and by the end of this video, you will know this board better than 90% of Arduino users. Welcome to SircuitCrackers, where we go deeper than the tutorials. This channel is 100% free electronics education. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for new videos every week. Now let's crack this board. Before we go component by component, let us get a bird's eye view of what is on this board. The Arduino Uno R3 was released in 2011 and is still the most popular microcontroller board on the planet. We can divide the board into 6 zones. Zone 1, the microcontroller, the brain. Zone 2, the power section, USB, barrel jack, voltage regulators. Zone 3, the digital pins, 14 of them along the top. Zone 4, the analog pins, 6 of them along the bottom left. Zone 5, the communication interfaces, ICSP UART, and the USB to serial chip. Zone 6, the support components crystal, resonator, capacitors, reset button, and LEDs. We will go through every single one. Let us start with the most important, the brain. The large black IC in the center of the board is the ATmega328P. This single IC is the main IC of Arduino Uno R3 board. Everything else on the board exists to support this microcontroller or connect it to the outside world. The ATmega328P is an 8-bit AVR microcontroller running at 16 MHz. It has 3 types of memory. 32 kilobytes of flash, this is where your code is stored permanently. Even when you unplug power, your code stays here. 2 kilobytes of SRAM, this is the working memory, where your variables, arrays, and runtime data live while the code runs. This is small, very small, always keep this in mind when writing code. And 1 kilobyte of EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. This is where you store data that must survive a power cycle, like settings, calibration values, or user preferences. On most Arduino Uno R3 boards, the ATmega328P sits in a DIP socket, means you can pull it out and replace it. If you ever damage the chip, you do not throw the whole board away. You buy a new ATmega328P and pop it back in. The ATmega328P operates at 5-volt logic. This is important when connecting sensors and modules. If your sensor is 3.3 volt only, you need a level shifter between the sensor and the Arduino pin. Now, let us talk about the clock, the heartbeat of your Arduino. Right next to the ATmega328P, you will see a small 3-legged ceramic component. This is the ceramic resonator, and it acts as the clock source running at 16 MHz. Every microcontroller needs a precise rhythmic clock signal that tells the chip when to execute the next instruction. Unlike a crystal, the ceramic resonator has its load capacitors built in internally, so no external capacitors are needed on either side. This makes the design simpler and cheaper, which is why many Arduino Uno R3 boards use it. If your resonator ever fails, which is rare, your Arduino will simply stop responding to code uploads. That is a useful diagnostic tip to remember. Now here's something many beginners confuse, the difference between a crystal and a ceramic resonator. Some Arduino boards and clone boards use a small 3-legged ceramic component instead of the crystal. This is called a ceramic resonator. A crystal is more accurate. It holds frequency very precisely, which is why it is used in timing-critical applications. A ceramic resonator is cheaper and simpler. It has the load capacitors built in, but it is slightly less accurate in frequency. For most hobby projects, both work fine. But if you're building something that depends on precise timing, like a clock, a UART communication at high baud rate, or a data logger, always prefer a crystal over a resonator. Now, let's talk about power. This is where most beginners make mistakes and ruin their Arduino boards. The USB Type-B port serves 2 purposes simultaneously. First, it powers the board at 5 volts from your computer or USB charger. Second, it is the data connection for uploading your code and for serial communication with your PC. The board can draw up to 500 milliamps through USB, which is enough for the chip and a few sensors, but not enough for high-current peripherals. The barrel jack accepts an external DC power supply between 7 to 12 volts, as recommended in Arduino official document. This is what you use when your project runs standalone, not connected to a PC. The center pin is positive. Always check your power supply polarity before connecting. When you power via barrel jack, the voltage passes through two onboard regulators. The main regulator, which is NCP1117, steps down your input voltage to a clean, stable 5 volts for the ATmega328P and all 5-volt pins. There is also a secondary smaller regulator that produces 3.3 volts, available on the 3.3-volt power pin for sensors and modules that require 3.3-volt logic. Important: the onboard 3.3-volt regulator can only supply about 150 milliamps. Do not power hungry modules like ESP8266 or ESP32 from this pin. They can draw more power and will cause the regulator to heat up and fail. The power header gives you access to 6 important pins: 3.3 volts output for 3.3 volt sensors, 5 volts output for 5 volt sensors and modules, 2 ground pins. Always connect your sensor ground here. VIN. This is the raw input voltage before regulation. If you are powering via barrel jack at 9 volts, VIN gives you 9 volts directly, and reset pulling this pin low restarts the microcontroller. There's also a dedicated AREF pin, means analog reference pin, on the other header. By default, the Arduino uses the internal 5-volt supply as the reference for analog to digital conversion. But if your sensor outputs a signal in a smaller voltage range, say 0 to 2.5 volts, you can apply an external precise reference voltage to the AREF pin and call analog reference external in your code. This makes the ADC use that smaller range, giving you much higher resolution for low-voltage sensors. Always make sure the voltage on AREF does not exceed 5 volts, and never apply a voltage to AREF while using the internal reference. It can damage the chip. Near the USB port, you will see a second, smaller IC. This is the ATmega16U2. Your computer communicates over USB, but the ATmega328P communicates over UART serial. These are two completely different protocols. The ATmega16U2 acts as a translator between them, converting USB data to UART and back. Without this chip, you could not upload code or use the serial monitor. On cheaper Arduino clone boards, this chip is replaced by a CH340 or CP2102, a simpler USB to serial converter IC. Functionally the same for most purposes, but on Windows, you may need to install a separate driver to get it working. If your computer does not recognize your Arduino clone, installing the CH340 driver usually fixes it immediately. Along the top of the board, you have 14 digital input-output pins, numbered 0 to 13. Each of these can be configured as either an input or an output in your code. As output, they drive 5 volts high or 0 volts low. As input, they read a high or low signal from a sensor, button, or module. Maximum current per pin is 40 milliamps, but keeping it under 20 milliamps in your designs is always the safer choice. 6 of these digital pins, 3, 5, 6, 9, 10, and 11, are marked with a tilde symbol, the squiggly line. This means they support PWM pulse width modulation. PWM lets you simulate an analog output by switching the pin on and off very rapidly. You use this to control LED brightness, buzzer tone, or servo motor position, etc. The Arduino's PWM runs at 8-bit resolution, giving you 256 steps, from 0 to 255. Pins 0 and 1 are special. They are the hardware UART pins, RX for receive and TX for transmit. These are the same pins used for USB communication via the ATmega16U2. Never connect anything to pins 0 and 1 while uploading code. It will interfere and cause upload failures. Once your code is uploaded, you can use them for serial communication with external modules like GSM, GPS, or Bluetooth, etc. Pin 13 is connected to the onboard LED labeled L on the board. This is why every beginner's first program, Blink, uses pin 13. No external LED or resistor needed. It is built right in for quick testing. Pins 2 and 3 support external hardware interrupts. This means these pins can instantly pause your main code and run a special interrupt function the moment a signal changes on that pin. This is critical for time-sensitive applications, like reading a rotary encoder, detecting a button press precisely, or responding to a pulse from a sensor without missing it inside a delay-heavy main loop. On the bottom left, you have 6 analog input pins, A0 through A5. Unlike digital pins that only read high or low, analog pins read a continuous voltage level anywhere between 0 volts and 5 volts. The ATmega328P has a 10-bit ADC, which maps that 0 to 5 volt range into values from 0 to 1024 steps of resolution. You use analog pins for sensors that output a varying voltage, temperature sensors like LM35, light sensors like LDR, potentiometers, soil moisture sensors, anything where the signal is not just on or off. One important thing most beginners do not know: analog pins A0 to A5 can also be used as digital input-output pins. If you run out of digital pins in your project, use them as digital pins with digital write and digital read. They are fully flexible. Two of these, A4 and A5, have a second important function. A4 is SDA, serial data, and A5 is SEL, serial clock, for the I2C communication protocol. The Arduino Uno R3 supports 3 hardware communication protocols. These are the backbone of how your Arduino talks to sensors, displays, modules, and other devices. First, UART, Universal Asynchronous Receiver Transmitter. Pines, TX on pin 1 and RX on pin 0. UART is a simple, 2-wire, point-to-point communication. One device talks, one device listens. You use this for GPS modules, GSM modules, Bluetooth HC05, and the serial monitor on your PC. Always remember, TX of Arduino connects to RX of the module, and RX of Arduino connects to TX of the module. Cross connection, always. Second, SPI, Serial Peripheral Interface, uses 4 wires, MOSI, MISO, SCK, and SS, on pins 11, 12, 13, and 10 respectively. SPI is fast, much faster than UART or I2C. You use SPI for SD card modules, TFT displays, NRF 24L01 wireless modules, and Ethernet shields. The IC-SP header, the 6-pin header on the board, also exposes the SPI pins directly and is used for programming the ATmega328P without going through the bootloader. Third, I2C inter-integrated circuit. Only 2 wires, SDA on A4 and SCL on A5. The power of I2C is that you can connect up to 127 different devices on just those 2 wires, as long as each device has a unique address. This makes wiring extremely clean for complex projects. You use I2C for OLED displays, RTC modules like DS3231, BME280 temperature and humidity sensors, MPU6050 gyroscope, and LCD modules with I2C backpack adapters, etc. Now let us cover the support components quickly. The reset button, pressing it pulls the reset pin low and restarts your Arduino from the beginning of your code. No power cycle needed. Useful when your program hangs or you want a clean restart. There are 4 LEDs on the Arduino Uno R3, and each one tells you something. The green LED labeled ON simply confirms the board is powered. The LED labeled L on pin 13. This is your user programmable LED. The TX LED flickers when data is being transmitted via serial. The RX LED flickers when data is being received. These TX and RX LEDs are very useful for debugging. If they are not blinking during an upload, something is wrong with your USB connection or driver. You will also see several small ceramic capacitors, usually 100 nanofarads, scattered close to the ATmega328P and other ICs. These are decoupling capacitors. Microcontrollers draw sudden bursts of current during switching. These capacitors act as tiny local energy reservoirs, instantly supplying that burst without letting the supply voltage drop or spike. Without them, noise on the power line would cause unpredictable behavior, random resets, and data corruption. And the PPTC resettable fuse near the USB port, this small yellow component, protects the USB power line from overcurrent. If current spikes beyond safe levels, the PPTC trips and chokes the current. Once you unplug and replug the board, it resets itself automatically. No replacement needed. Silent protection, always working in the background. Now let us put this knowledge into practice with 3 real project connections. Connection 1. LED with a current limiting resistor on a PWM pin. Connect the long leg of the LED, the anode, to pin 9 through a 220 ohm resistor. Connect the short leg, the cathode, to ground. Pin 9 is a PWM pin, marked with the tilde symbol, which means you can control brightness from 0 to 255 using analog write in your code. The 220 ohm resistor limits current to about 14 milliamps, safe for both the LED and the Arduino pin. Never connect an LED directly to a pin without a resistor. Connection 2. DS18B20 temperature sensor. Connect VCC to the 5-volt pin on the power header. Ground to ground. Data pin to digital pin 2. Add a 4.7 kΩ pull-up resistor between the data line and VCC. This is mandatory for the DS18B20 to communicate correctly. The DS8B220 uses the one-wire protocol, meaning it sends all data over a single wire. And the best part, you can connect multiple DS18B20 sensors on that same single data wire simultaneously. Each sensor has a unique 64-bit address burned into it at the factory, so the Arduino can talk to each one individually. Pin 2 is used here because one-wire communication is timing sensitive and Pin 2 supports external interrupts, making it the most reliable choice for this sensor. Connection 3, I2C OLED display. VCC to 3.3 volts, ground to ground, SDA to A4, SCL to A5. That is it, just 4 wires, because I2C handles all data on just 2 lines. Use the Adafruit SSD 1306 and GFX libraries, and you can display anything you want on the screen: text, numbers, shapes, icons, and simple graphics. Let us do a quick reference summary you can screenshot and save. Brain, 8-bit at Mega 3, 28P, 32 kilobytes flash, 2 kilobytes SRAM, 1 kilobyte EEPROM. Clock, 16 MHz crystal with 22 picofarad load capacitors or ceramic resonator on some boards. Power input, USB 5 volts or barrel jack 7 to 12 volts. Regulators, 5-volt main, 3.3 volt auxiliary at 50 mA maximum. Digital pins, 14 total, 6 PWM on pins 3, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11. Analog pins, 6 total, A0 to A5. 10-bit ADC, 0 to 1023. UART, TX pin 1, and RX pin 0. SPI, MOSI pin 11, MISO pin 12, SCK pin 13, SS pin 10. I2C SDA on A4 and SCL on A5. Logic level, 5 volts. Maximum current per pin, 40 mA. Keep under 20 mA. USB chip at Mega 16 U2 or CH340 on clone boards. Protection, PPTC, resettable fuse on USB line. A ref pin for external analog reference voltage. And that is your complete Arduino Uno R3 board tour. From the Mega 328P brain to the PPTC bodyguard, every component, every pin, every interface covered. You now know this board better than most people who have been using it for years. Drop a comment below. Which component surprised you the most? Subscribe and hit the bell icon for next week's video. Until then, keep building, keep learning, and keep cracking circuits.